What's up, guys? This is Damien with Hosh Online, and today we've bust out the old EVO 4G LTE. You know, that's a joke. This EVO 4G LTE is by no means old, but today we're going to be taking a look at a ROM for it, the Super LTE ROM for the EVO 4G LTE, brought to you by Deuce. And this is a kind of this ROM is when it's finished with the nightlies and all, it's going to branch out and actually be 3 different ROMs. There's going to be the Warm 4.0, brought to you by men who made even to this day, my all-time favorite ROM of all, the Warm ROM for the EVO 4G, or the original OG EVO 4G. Another ROM that it will branch out to will be D3RP LTE, which is brought to you by, I guess, Monochromatic FTW, and also the Mayhem ROM, which is a successor ROM to the Inbreaded ROM. Now, this ROM is an Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich based ROM for the EVO 4G LTE. So I know what you guys that have the EVO 4G LTE, like myself, you're probably waiting for a Jelly Bean port, and this isn't going to give it to you. But there's good news: it does feature Jelly Bean animations, and it also features Google Now. So you can use some of those cool voice actions on your EVO 4G LTE that maybe some of the other devices have kind of made you a little bit jealous or envious of. A few essential functions that this ROM kicks into gear for the EVO 4G LTE are Wi-Fi tweaks. The EVO kind of had a problem when engaged with Wi-Fi. It would kind of drop it sometimes, and this fixes that. So that's something really important. This ROM also features some GPS tweaks, so no more GPS problems, and also it has the capacitive menu remapping. So now the most recent items capacitive button, you can use that as an actual menu button. I love pretty much everything about the EVO 4G LTE and the kind of way that HTC was going with this device, but one thing that I was sad to see go was the dedicated menu key, and now that's no longer a problem. So when reviewing this ROM or over-reviewing this ROM, when I do any ROM, I usually like to pinpoint the things that make this ROM distinctive from a lot of the other ROMs. And it's harder to do that with the EVO 4G LTE because a lot of the ROMs that are available for the EVO 4G LTE are so similar. And a lot of those things, they're underneath the hood, and it's kind of hard to display those. As you can see, I'm in the background, and I'm just kind of giving you guys a sense of how smooth this ROM is, because that's the thing that differentiates this ROM. It's very smooth. I've been running it for a while, no lags, no forced closes, and I started to see that a little while, especially when I was running stock. When I first got the EVO 4G LTE, everything ran great, excellent, couldn't complain at all. And then slowly but surely I started encountering a lot of lag. And it was really disappointing because you want to root for HTC so bad, and you just hate to see that lag when devices like the Galaxy S3 and some of the new devices, the Nexus 7 and whatever, they don't have any lag. So that's one thing that this ROM does. This ROM cleans all that up. All the missteps that maybe HTC took when developing Scent software, these guys really have cleaned all of that up. This thing is buttery smooth. I'm not sure if this is using Project Butter off of the Jelly Bean Android 4.1, but you couldn't tell because it's so smooth. They did include some very handy apps, especially for an Android hacker or a modifier in this ROM, and you get apps like Terminal Emulator. You get an MSL reader, which is always great to have. OASVN Lite, which you'll see me demonstrating just how it looks in the video. You get better battery stats. Goo Manager. There's a few very, very handy apps that any Android modifier would be happy to have, and you definitely want to have those apps in your arsenal. Another distinctive fun fact about this ROM is that there are an enormous amount of modifications, and I'm not talking about just the modifications that are included in the ROM. I'm talking about separate mods that you can add if you would like. Just check the post. There's tons of mods, tons of themes, I'll definitely go out on a limb. It's not really going out on a limb, but this is probably the most modified ROM and offers the most things basically to get your flash on. You know, if you love flash and you love hacking your device, and you know a day goes by and you start to get a little bored, you won't get bored with this ROM because there's so many modifications. Check the thread, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about. Quadrant numbers seem to hold up to what you would get stock. This isn't no overclock or anything. There's no special kernel that's on this ROM, so you're still getting about 4300, a little bit above that for the score on Quadrant. And you know, benchmark scores, you can take them, I can take them or leave them, but this holds up pretty well, and you definitely just feel that this thing is really smooth regardless of what any benchmarking stats say. Bringing out the Samsung Galaxy S3, you can see that the scores are, you know, very similar, and this actually this S3 is it's not overclocked either, so this is both basically running off the factory same Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 chip. But you guys, this ROM is a very well done ROM. It's definitely an Android hacker's ROM, and the OASVN app is a very interesting app, and I will be doing a video soon to kind of dive into that a little bit and give you guys some support on that. But this has been Damien, guys, and this has been the Super LTE ROM for the HTC EVO 4G LTE. Keep a lookout for more videos really soon. This has been Damien, Hosh Online. I will see you guys next video. Peace.